In today's interconnected global economy, a single policy decision, no matter where it originates, can send shockwaves across continents, affecting businesses, consumers, and governments worldwide. Tariffs, taxes placed on imported goods, are one of the most powerful tools nations use to influence international trade, protect domestic industries, and sometimes even negotiate political leverage. When the U.S. imposes tariffs on European products, those goods become more expensive for American consumers and businesses, which can lead to reduced demand and shifting trade patterns, impacting both sides of the Atlantic. The Eurozone, with its shared currency and deeply intertwined trade relationships with the U.S., feels these effects especially strongly, as its economies are closely linked to global markets. A tariff on a German car or an Italian machine isn't just a problem for a single company. It can disrupt jobs, slow investment, and dampen economic growth across entire regions of Europe, affecting thousands of workers and their families. Recent research from the European Central Bank, ECB, reveals that U.S. tariffs can slow Eurozone growth, reduce exports, and even lower prices over time, as companies adjust to new market realities. By carefully analyzing trade data, ECB economists demonstrate how these foreign taxes ripple through Europe's economy, influencing everything from factory output and employment rates to consumer prices and business confidence. Let's explore what they discovered and why these findings matter for industries, workers, and policymakers across Europe and beyond, shaping the future of global trade. When the U.S. imposes tariffs, European companies find it harder to sell in America, triggering a powerful demand shock. The ECB's new analysis isolates these tariff-related trade surprises to reveal their true impact. The result? When Eurozone exports to the U.S. drop, both growth and inflation in Europe fall. Contrary to expectations, tariffs don't cause lasting inflation in Europe. Instead, the loss of sales forces companies to cut prices. Businesses may lower prices to stay competitive or clear unsold inventory, creating a risk of deflation. The ECB's research shows that the real story is how this demand shock ripples through the economy, dampening investment and production. The initial export shock is just the start. Its effects spread, cooling the entire economic climate. This sets the stage for a closer look at how specific industries and consumers feel these changes. Tariffs hit the economy in waves, first a jolt, then a deeper shift. These policy changes can feel sudden, but their effects ripple out over time, touching every link in the global supply chain. Immediately after a U.S. tariff, Eurozone prices may tick up slightly due to supply chain disruptions and higher costs. Shoppers might notice everyday goods becoming a bit more expensive, and businesses scramble to adjust. But this inflation is brief. The real impact emerges over the next 18 months. The initial shock fades, but deeper changes begin to take hold, affecting both consumers and producers. As U.S. demand drops, Eurozone consumer prices actually fall, overwhelming the initial price bump. The market adjusts, and the pressure on prices reverses direction. For every 1% drop in exports to the U.S., consumer prices in Europe fall by about 0.1% after a year and a half. This counterintuitive effect highlights how interconnected global economies are and how quickly trends can shift. Industrial production also declines, as factories scale back in response to fewer American buyers. Plants may run below capacity, and workers face reduced hours or layoffs. Businesses delay expansion and hiring, bracing for uncertainty. Investment slows, and confidence in future growth is shaken. The ECB's research reveals a clear pattern. Short-term cost increases give way to a longer period of lower growth and lower inflation. Policymakers must weigh these trade-offs carefully. This shift is central to understanding how tariffs reshape the Eurozone economy. It's not just a matter of prices, but of long-term economic health and stability. The story is not just about prices, but about the broader slowdown that follows, affecting jobs, investment, and the everyday lives of millions across Europe. Europe's iconic exports, Cars, machinery, pharmaceuticals are hit hardest by U.S. tariffs, but the pain builds slowly. These downstream sectors see the biggest output and price declines 1 to 2 years after a tariff shock. For every 1% drop in U.S. exports, output in these industries falls by about 0.3% a year later. Producer prices also drop, as companies compete for new buyers outside the U.S. The business cycle for these products is long, so the impact takes time to show up in factories and jobs. As backlogs clear and new U.S. orders dry up, companies are forced to cut production and lower prices. The result? A slow squeeze on profits, job security, and growth in Europe's industrial heartlands. Tariffs act as a grinding pressure, not a sudden blow, leaving workers and communities to adjust over time. Upstream industries, like chemicals and metals, feel tariff shocks almost instantly. When car makers or machinery firms expect lower U.S. sales, they immediately cut orders for raw materials. This hits chemical plants and steel mills first, shrinking their order books overnight. The ripple effect travels backward through the supply chain, making upstream sectors early warning signals of broader trouble. These industries face sudden drops in demand and must compete harder for business, pushing prices down. While downstream firms may benefit briefly from cheaper inputs, foundational industries suffer. Tariffs don't just hurt exports, they disrupt the entire economic web within the Eurozone. For consumers, tariffs can be confusing. Prices may rise at first, then fall. Right after a U.S. tariff, some Eurozone products get more expensive due to higher costs and supply chain hiccups. But as companies lose U.S. sales, they're left with excess inventory and idle factories. To move products, they cut prices, creating a stronger, longer-lasting downward pressure on inflation. The ECB finds that a 1% drop in U.S. exports leads to a 0.1% fall in consumer prices after 18 months. While the economic slowdown is tough, lower inflation can slightly boost consumers' purchasing power. It's a trade-off. Slower growth, but a gentler rise in the cost of living. Tariffs, then, are both a drag on growth and a surprising brake on inflation. When tariffs threaten growth and inflation, the ECB steps in. Its main tool is monetary policy, cutting interest rates to make borrowing cheaper. Lower rates encourage businesses to invest and households to spend, injecting demand into the economy. This helps offset the demand lost to tariffs, supporting jobs and production. The ECB's research confirms that monetary policy can effectively cushion the blow from trade shocks. Without intervention, the slowdown could be deeper, risking higher unemployment and deflation. By acting quickly, the ECB helps stabilize the economy and protect key industries. Monetary policy becomes the first line of defense against unpredictable trade barriers. It's a proactive way to keep the Eurozone resilient in a turbulent world. The ECB's research shows that the sectors hurt most by tariffs, like cars and machinery, are also the most responsive to interest rate cuts. These industries, making big-ticket goods, depend on affordable financing for both companies and consumers. When the ECB lowers rates, it directly boosts sales and investment in these vulnerable sectors. Domestic demand can help fill the gap left by lost U.S. exports, keeping factories running and workers employed. This targeted effect means monetary policy isn't just a blunt tool. It can deliver relief where it's needed most. By understanding which sectors are most sensitive, the ECB can fine-tune its response. This approach maximizes the impact of policy, stabilizing the economy and protecting jobs. It's a powerful way to counteract the ripple effects of foreign trade barriers. The ECB's deep dive into U.S. tariffs reveals a clear truth. Foreign trade barriers drag down Eurozone growth and inflation, creating ripple effects that reach far beyond the initial point of impact. These barriers don't just affect numbers on a spreadsheet, they shape the daily realities of businesses, workers, and consumers across Europe. A tariff in Washington can slow production in Munich and lower prices in Madrid, showing just how interconnected the global economy has become. Even a single policy decision can set off a chain reaction that touches every corner of the Eurozone. The shock starts with lost exports, then ripples through upstream and downstream industries, cooling the whole economy. Supply chains tighten, factories slow down, and uncertainty grows for both employers and employees. While initial price hikes may grab headlines, the lasting effect is reduced demand and fiercer competition. Businesses must adapt quickly, often making tough choices to survive in a more challenging environment. For cars and machinery, the pain is slow and deep. For chemicals and metals, it's immediate. Each sector faces its own unique challenges, but all feel the weight of disrupted trade. Yet, the ECB's ability to target relief through monetary policy offers hope. By carefully analyzing the situation, the central bank can respond with tools designed to support growth and stability. By lowering rates, the ECB can stimulate demand where it's needed most, cushioning the blow. This approach helps businesses and households weather the storm, keeping the economy moving forward. This research is a reminder. Trade barriers have real costs, but smart policy can help Europe weather the storm. Policymakers must stay vigilant and proactive to protect growth and jobs. In a connected world, understanding these dynamics is key to building a stable, prosperous future. Only by working together and adapting to change can Europe continue to thrive in the face of global challenges.